No.
No, Jay's not.
correct.
Thank
He
you.
said yes,
Thank you.
All right, I'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the consent agenda. All the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved at AHA will be approved by one vote unless any trustee desires to have a separate vote on any or all these items. The consent agenda consists of the discussion, consideration, and action on the following items. Minutes of the regular trustee meeting, October 26, 2021. Minutes of the special finance meeting, October 26, 2021. Minutes of the regular finance meeting, November 16, 2021. And a check report, October 9, 2021 through November 8, 2021.
Make a motion we approve the consent agenda, items A through D as presented. Second.
Have a motion by Dr. Brown, second by Dr. Hannaford to approve the consent agenda as it was presented. Roll call vote, please.
Jasper,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Simon. Yes. Brown,
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Okay, next is the CEO's report. Candace.
All right, you can see we've hired some new staff. I know that we've got one more. Hi, Dr. Burt. I know that we've got one more contract nurse coming after the first of the year, I believe. So that will help. It's been busy on the floor. We've had some COVID back. The numbers are rising. If you've paid attention to that in the news. So we're obviously still pushing for people to get vaccinated. And I think yesterday morning we had 9 inpatients, and a couple of those, I know we had a transfer and 1 discharge. So the nurses are hopping. I feel like I said this last month, I'm not sure, it's on here again. Mary Rose has stepped down as surgery director. Amy Furr, who has worked TACU before her job when she came here, back in Alaska. Amy is now the director of surgery. She's assessing the needs of the department. We've got a couple of things surgery-wise that we're looking into with a couple of different options for coverage, one being ortho and one being general surgery. So we're going to take a look at those. Otherwise, Dr. Gregg is doing a good job and been plenty busy. We had 3 staff members complete their TNCC, their trauma certification, a couple of weeks ago. The mandatory COVID vaccination goes into effect on January 4th, and we are currently working on our policies and procedures to comply with that mandate. And we'll have a special meeting coming up on Monday. All right, I believe that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions for me?
If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move we approve the written report for November 23rd, 2021.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. Simon, second by Dr. Hannaford to approve the Share Medical Center written report for November 23rd, 2021. Roll call vote, please.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Burt,
Yes.
Simon,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Jasper.
Yes. I would like to take just a moment. I will do that in a minute. CFO's report, do you guys have anything?
I'm just going to let everybody know, this month we do not have financials. I apologize. Working with Next Step, the payroll company went to Next Step for the month of October and then immediately switched back to Paycom, just with how bad things were going. We're still working on getting the reports out of Next Step. And so until we get all those reports out of how payroll went and all the financials for payroll, we aren't able to pull everything together until that's done. So I'm in contact with somebody from Next Step right now. That's basically the last piece of the puzzle we're working on. So hopefully within the next week or so, we'll have that wrapped up. And we've already are back on track with Paycom. I've done some reports for them for November, and we're already looking good. So next board meeting, we should be able to have everything up to date for everybody. So the HHS reporting is coming to an end, so I was going to let Steve kind of just let everybody know what's going on with that.
As everybody knows, we've been receiving considerable funding from Health and Human Services Administration and other government entities, but mainly from HHS. And I've been reporting to you in the past on a monthly basis on how we've been using those funds. Well, now it's time to report back to the government. That report is for the period for funds received prior to July 1st, 2020, and how those funds were used from January 1st of 2020 through June 30th of 2021. That report was originally due back in September. They gave a 2-month extension basically because people were struggling with it. But the time has come, and I'm prepared to file that report tomorrow. So there will be future reporting on following periods, but this is the big one. The majority of the funding we've received will be reported on.
Very good. Thank you, Steve. Next is the Medical Staff Executive Committee, and I'd like to welcome to the board Dr. Scott Burke, our new Chief of Staff, and also formally in front of the board anyways, welcome you back to Alva. So, glad to have you here.
Thanks.
So,
But tell me what to do.
Yeah.
welcome, here's the fire.
Yeah.
Jump in.
Jump right in.
Basically, you guys met for your executive committee?
We did November the 11th. And
Anything exciting?
Go down
it was
number
really-
5.
yeah, so,
Start there.
yeah. So we met and approved the allied staff, Crystal Elliott, who's going to be nurse practitioner, mostly in walk-in clinic mostly. Is that correct?
Yes, urgent care.
Urgent care. And was she a reappointment?
Well, that's what I
or
was
an
getting at.
appointment?
I think she was an appointment.
She was-
It says reappointment, but I think she was an
Thought we
appointment.
could correct
Well,
that.
it's appointment on our,
It's appointment on
on
ours.
our agenda.
What is
Yeah,
it?
just in the minutes
Oh,
of
it's
the
on
med
mine, it's
staff.
reappointment.
Yeah, that's that one. Says
Oh, okay.
On the name,
I got
this
you.
meeting's agenda
Okay.
says appointment.
Okay. That was the only issue that I saw. And let's see, anything else major report?
And number 7, doesn't he do that one, the contract? Evaluation contract? I think
no.
that's where that comes out, because it wouldn't come up anywhere else.
Well, you guys discussed it in there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We did discuss it.
Contract reviews.
Yeah, I don't think there was any
No.
motions or voting or anything. It was just we reviewed it. And we moved to approve the West End RHC manual.
Okay.
What else, Candace?
That's about it. We already discussed. The last thing is that Karen Sagner, the new nurse practitioner,
Oh,
will be here right after the first of the year, and she'll be doing 3 days a week in Winona. That's it.
no, it's 3 days. Yeah.
Probably Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
My name is
But we
Fred.
haven't settled that yet. Have you been busy down there?
I was busy last week.
Good.
I think I had 10.
Good. Wonderful.
And that was only my second day there, so
That's good.
Good.
I like those people down there. Good people.
Okay, so we need a motion for the appointment to Allied Staff Crystal Elliott, APRN.
Make a motion to appoint to Allied Staff Crystal Elliott, APRN.
Second.
So we have a motion by Dr. Hannaford, a second by Dr. Simon to appoint to Allied Staff Crystal Elliott, APRN. Roll call vote, please.
Burt,
Yes.
Simon,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Gaspard,
Yes.
Hannaford.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Burke, and welcome again.
Thank you.
So we don't really have anything for coffee for this month. Under that improvement to patient care, under that tab, you'll see those contracts that were reviewed.
Yours is 4 this time.
And everything was in compliance. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay. If not, we will move on to the Sheriff Convalescent Home Report. Kelly?
At the end of October, we had just over, actually at the end of October, we had about 43 patients, residents at the nursing home. Average daily census was just over 40. We had about an even month from September to October as far as skilled nursing days are concerned. And I'll point out that probably the biggest thing that we've been pushing here lately has been vaccine education. And 95% of our residents are vaccinated. We have one, at the time of this report, we have one, and we've admitted another resident that does not have a vaccine. So we technically have 2 that aren't vaccinated at this time. We had, you can see our satisfaction survey scores there. The scores are good, but this only reflects one resident. What we noticed when we had turnover in our social services director position, we missed that part of our training, and our social services director helps a lot of our residents with that satisfaction survey. So we figured that out, got that person brought up to speed on how to do that with the residents. We should have more information to report next time. Not that I don't like seeing 100% satisfaction on these items, but 1 out of 1 is okay, but I'd rather have more than that. Our nurse call times, average was up about 17 seconds this month for an average response time of 4 minutes and 40 seconds. We're continuing to work with HPE, the engineering firm, regarding the HVAC project. They have, Christian Foshi has left the company, and they've given us a new engineer to work with on that, so he and I are trying to catch up at this time. I'm still seeking someone to install our doors. We do have, the Stars has got the doors in finally. That was the longest order ever. If you'll remember, it's been probably over a year ago that we approved the purchase of those doors. And so now I'm just seeking a contractor that we can get up there to install them. With our EHR, the last piece that we intend to implement at this time is nutrition management, and we're scheduled to have a meeting with them to get that ball rolling next Monday. You see down there we've got some new employees. We did have some achievements. Bailey Miller was accepted into LPN school. She started November 1st. Amy Kimberly completed her Human Resources certification with UDNY. I'm not sure what that acronym is, but it was an online credential that she pursued. And then, it's not on here, but Harley Henning came on with us right before the pandemic hit as a nurse aide, and she has since passed her LPN boards, and she's working for us as an LPN now. As far as staff vaccinations are concerned, we were about 60% vaccinated. Our number includes staff as well as contractors that are in our building for whatever purpose they serve, whether it's a therapist or maintenance worker or like our consultant for dietary, and they're all included in those numbers. We have 27 that are not vaccinated at the end of October. We have had more people get their vaccination since this report. Employee satisfaction, teamwork is pretty high. They feel safe and comfortable at work. Our new hires are, we do a really good job with new hires somehow. I mean, it's always 100%. And I don't mean somehow, but I mean,
Magic.
it's not something we've ever had to focus a lot on. It just, I guess they've always felt welcome coming into our organization. And you know, the one that makes me probably the most happy is that 98% organization advocates. So we've got a high number of employees that would recommend our facility to their friends and family. We did have state surveyors on site for complaint investigations at the end of the month. We had a number of deaths in skilled nursing discharges as well that has brought our census down. And we did, you will be seeing some of our ads in the newsgram. The vaccine mandate has really got us, you know, we're concerned with how all this is going to go. And we'll talk more about the policy on the agenda here in a second. But other than that, we did receive a supplemental payment from Medicaid, and it was about $50,000. We should be getting another one of those in December, and it'll be close to the same amount of money. That's all I got for the report. I'm happy to try to answer any questions.
Any questions for Kelly? If not, there are two policies. One is the alcohol use by facility elders policy.
So this is a policy that we did not have. We allow our residents to have alcohol in the facility, and with the doctor's order, and for how much they can have and that sort of thing. We haven't had any policy in place with regard to where we store that alcohol and how it's obtained and that sort of thing. We had an issue come up in the month of October where we felt like we needed to go ahead and get a policy in place for that, so that if there are situations of noncompliance by residents, those have the potential to cause harm to other residents or themselves, and if that's going to be the case, we need to have that policy in effect so that we can take appropriate action to keep everybody safe. So that policy was, I think it was emailed out to everybody. I'm happy to try to answer any questions.
I don't think everybody got it. I think you've got it.
Okay.
Basically, we're saying that the staff will, I hope I don't have to go by memory with the next policy, but this one is not as bad. The staff will be designated to purchase alcohol for our activities. So if it's a happy hour or we're having a dinner party or something like that, the staff will obtain the alcohol for those events. Residents and their families will obtain their personal use alcohol. We'll store that in the med room, label it, and all those things appropriately. We'll have the doctor's order on file that specifies what type of alcohol, whether there's a difference between 12 ounces of beer versus 12 ounces of spirits. And so it defines how we'll have the orders written and where we'll store it, who will administer it, and that sort of thing.
It has to stay in its own labeled bottles and so on and so forth. In its original container.
No flask at the bedside.
No flask.
No flask at the bedside.
We're going to keep the beer cold.
We'll keep the beer cold in the fridge. Fridge in the bedroom.
Okay. there any questions in regards to alcohol use by facility elders? Anybody would like to read this? It's right here.
Maybe you should say residents,
I
not
like
elders.
Elders.
Because that implies somebody, you know.
Got a little gray on the side of my face.
You just want to make sure you're included.
Want to make sure I have a liberal policy. That's apparently the going terminology these days. I would have probably said residents as well, but
Okay, so do we have any other questions in regards to this policy? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Just a quick question. Were the residents a part of this? I mean, did they have any input on the policy, I guess?
the residents have been part of our practice all along.
Okay.
And so while we haven't shown the residents that policy, a lot of that policy is related to what our practice has been all along.
Putting it on paper.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it just changes where they're able to store it? Is that am I correct?
Well, they've never been technically allowed to keep it in their cabinet beside the bed, but we found out that was happening and that there was potential there for somebody to get that should not get it. So.
Is there any kind of policy about family bringing alcohol into the
That
facility?
addresses any alcohol brought into the building is supposed to be
Have to
brought,
be reported,
get reported and.
so they can't bring a cooler in and watch the football game and have all they want.
Not without reporting it and making sure we've got an order for it.
It's just preparing for the future.
Yeah.
Just make sure it's all good.
I'll make a motion to approve the alcohol use by facility elders policy.
Second.
I have a motion by Dr. Hannaford, a second by Dr. Simon for the approval of the alcohol use by facility elders policy. Roll call vote, please.
Simon?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Gaspard?
Yes.
Hannaford?
Yes.
Burke?
Yes.
Okay. The next item is the discussion and action on the mandatory COVID-19 vaccination policy.
So this is regarding the CMS mandate for nursing homes and other healthcare providers to have 100% compliance with the vaccination mandate. The policy outlines what is considered 100% vaccination, and that's going to be either a single dose of a single dose vaccine or 2 doses of a 2-dose series after 2 weeks after the second or the final dose of that. The first deadline to have a single dose or the first dose of a 2-dose series is December 5th, and then all staff must be compliant by January 4th, that they'll have had their second dose of their 2-dose series by January, 2 weeks prior to that, so that they're fully vaccinated come January 4th. There are provisions in there for employees that don't reach compliance. There would be 2 types of exemptions. One would be medical, so if they have a provider that determines that they should not be taking the vaccine, then they would have a medical exemption. If the other type of exemption would be religious, that's a little more complicated. The CMS, our policy refers to the EEOC guidelines for religious exemptions for other things, and so there's in our policy we define a process for accepting requests for exemptions. We identify a committee to review those requests. Upon review, the employee will either be denied or the request would be denied or accepted, or require further consideration, depending on how the request reads. According to EEOC, the employer may ask follow-up questions. So after all the lines of questions, the employee provides for the employees to have an appeal process, and then anybody that has gone through that and is going to be out of compliance by one of the two deadlines is going to be placed on a 60-day furlough, and then they'll have time. We will educate those employees as much as we can regarding the vaccine at that time and what their options are, whether that be, and we've been doing a lot of this education already, but whether or not they would qualify for, whether or not they would want to seek religious or medical exemptions, and then basically it would bring us into 100% compliance.
Kelly, does it address the booster?
It does not address the
Does the
booster.
mandate address the booster at all?
No.
Okay.
So basically, it says by December 5th, they more or less have to either state they have the vaccination or they have not, to be able to be in compliance by January 4th.
Yeah, they have to
Well,
start it.
by December 5th, they would have to have had their first dose of a tube or a single dose.
They have to have their single dose by the 5th. They can't wait until the 4th of January to take their single dose. So you have to work towards compliance by the 5th of December or have received an exemption.
Okay.
So that's kind of the,
If at any point somebody that is not in compliance by that December 5th, once they come into compliance and that's fully vaccinated or exemption granted, they would be able to resume their regular status as an employee and get put back on the schedule.
And this is all following
CMS guidelines.
the state, the federal, the stuff that's coming down above us.
Yes, this would not have been, I do not believe, I'll just speak for myself, I guess. I would not have brought this to you had it not been a requirement to keep our Medicare certificate license.
Right. So if somebody is not now, they change their mind later, we will take them back?
Yep.
And in that period of furlough that you mentioned, they can change their mind. Then once they become fully vaccinated, is there a certain amount of time they have to wait, or it's just as soon as they're fully vaccinated?
Fully vaccinated is considered 14 days after the last required dose in their series, whether that's 1 or 2.
Can we staff the facilities for those, saying all those folks who don't want a shot? I figure if they haven't got one now, they're probably not going to do it. Can we staff the facilities if we lose those folks?
We have, and this isn't in the policy, but we have, like I mentioned, we've gone from about 43 residents at one point during the month of October, 43 or 44, and right now we're down to about 35 residents. And so I think with the census decline, and presently I'm not admitting any new residents until we see what December 5th looks like. Because anybody that we admit today is going to more than likely be here December 5th, and I want to make sure we've got adequate staff to take care of everybody. I feel okay about it right now.
But then it's also one of the busier times of the year for people to be admitted. It's the pre-COVID anyways.
Yeah. Once families get together for the holidays, they tend to see what's happening with mom or
what's really
dad.
going on.
Kelly,
So-
one concern that I have that we are going to need to figure out is if you do furlough somebody for 60 days, what happens to their benefits during that time?
I would assume it's like any unpaid leave, that they would probably have to be responsible for their own premiums. That's not addressed in the policy.
We need to
figure that out.
There are provisions in the policy for paid leave if they have a reaction to getting the vaccine. There are, it's in the policy. I can't think of any reason it would be applicable to us, but there is language in the policy that if somebody has to get their vaccine somewhere else, if Alva all of a sudden runs out of vaccines and they need time off to go get their vaccine, there are provisions in that for paid time off to do that as well.
And it doesn't expend their own.
If they've got it, it does, or we can advance in that.
Question. Medical staff's meeting tomorrow about this as well.
For the
For
hospital.
the hospital's
For the
policy.
hospital.
We're talking about Kelly's
This is
specifically
just
right
nursing
now.
home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you currently furlough anybody for any reasons?
The only times in my time with Share Medical Center that anybody's had furlough has been for financial reasons.
So let's talk through this. So if they choose by the 5th, if they've not got an exemption, they've not started the series, that day they go, you put them on furlough and they have 60 days to come into compliance.
After 60 days and no action on their part, it would be accepted as their resignation.
Okay, but they can't come to work if they don't start that series by the 5th. They cannot work until they're fully vaccinated, correct? 2 weeks from their last injection. Okay.
After January 4th, or technically after January.
Well, they have to have 14 days after their last
So
injection.
they could get a 2-dose series between December 5th and January 4th and to be considered fully vaccinated by.
So Joe comes in and decides Christmas Day he's getting it. That's day one. He has to wait however many days to get the second shot, which is going to be sometime in January. He doesn't come back to work, let's just say, to February 1st. But he would actually be able to work according to January 3rd.
No.
Kind of went to 14 days after.
No, because that mandate doesn't go into place till January 4th.
No, it goes into effect December
It
5th.
goes into effect.
You have to have it by.
You have to start towards compliance by the
So,
5th.
my bad, I was thinking this all in January, but technically you could lose
Yep.
20-some employees next week.
Yep.
And I don't think we will. I mean, we've been working pretty closely with the ones that aren't vaccinated. A handful of them are going to go ahead and become vaccinated, and I'm glad about that. The others, we have, I think, 2 right now that will, more than one has gotten the, well, 2 have had their providers sign medical exemptions for them, and I think I have 8 or 9 that have submitted religious exemptions, which are in the review process. And I think that combined, some of our employees aren't going to get vaccinated and they're not going to try to get an exemption, and but looking at who they are and what responsibilities they have for us, I feel like we're still going to be able to take care of people without having to discharge anybody.
But if we don't comply, and
We
we don't
don't.
qualify for Medicare, then what's the consequence of that?
So if we don't comply, it's not just Medicare, it's Medicaid.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And so Medicare is, whenever we have Medicare patients, we average about, I don't know, Chris, I'm going to say about $800 a patient day to $1,000, somewhere in there. And Medicaid residents would not be able to live at our facility, and that's our regular rate that Medicaid pays for them. And yeah, we lose both those types of revenue. That would knock us down to roughly 13, somewhere between 10 and 15 residents. And then we would lay off staff at that point, because we wouldn't have the need for that much staff.
And you wouldn't be able to keep your doors open.
Not long.
Yeah.
We'd have to increase our rates, and people would have to decide whether or not they wanted to pay that to stay there and all that. I mean, it wouldn't just be the doors are closing the day that it happens, but there'd be some time in there to see if, how we proceed. But no, it's not, it wouldn't run well. We need bodies in the nursing homes in order to be able to take care of people. It wouldn't be good for our community to not be able to take care of those people. We need the option to be able to take care of those people.
What other questions, concerns, thoughts?
Do we need, Candace, like you said, with that furlough with the insurance, do we need that answered before we approve this
I think we need to put that
policy?
in writing to cover us, don't you?
You may, but I don't think you have to have the policy.
Okay.
I mean, you may want to add that to your policy,
Okay.
but for purposes of passing this tonight, I don't think you have to.
So once it's passed,
That's
everybody-
kind of an administrative process.
Okay, that's what I wanted to.
I think that's kind of a separate process from what you have to accomplish tonight to be in compliance.
We know we have to have this policy to be in compliance with the federal government to
Yes,
continue business as we know it right now.
and then how you handle and conduct furloughs and things of that nature is really kind of an administrative process.
We do, I'll just let you know, this policy, we do have a company that we contract with for policy development. And they are the ones that develop this policy. It's reviewed by their legal team, and this was developed based on the CMS guidelines for nursing homes.
So other nursing homes are adopting the same policy.
We've modified it to, fit any specific things about our nursing home.
So not voting this in, we're losing the funding and.
Yes.
I move that we approve the mandatory COVID-19 vaccination policy.
I have a motion by Dr. Brown. Do I have a second?
I hate anything that mandates it, but they're forcing they're forcing your hand, and I don't want to put our patients in jeopardy or their families. So I'll second.
We have a motion by Dr. Brown, second by Dr. Hannaford, to approve the mandatory COVID-19 vaccination policy. Roll call vote, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Bowman,
No.
Gaspard,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
Simon.
Yes.
Like I said, I don't like it either.
All right, next item is the homestead report.
Homestead does not have to comply with vaccination mandates. They had an average census of just under 30 for the month of October, about 54%. They are kind of getting back on track with activities still. They did have an outbreak of COVID among the staff that took a pretty good hit on them.
Wow.
What?
One would beg to think maybe we need them vaccinated.
But we had to adjust the hours and options with the dining room for a period of about 3 weeks. But the residents and staff that were remaining there handled things pretty well. No new employees, no term employees, and no leaves of absence over there. They are working on some rooms getting refurbished. I know they're getting one painted and a two-bedroom painted and new flooring put in at this time, and so they've had a little bit of difficulty with getting contractors as well. So, be happy to try to answer any questions about the homestead.
Any questions for Kelly on that?
Okay, so I'll ask. So we're not going to require that anybody at the homestead be vaccinated? I'm just asking. It's not come up. We've not discussed it. I don't know.
You know, we
We've not
haven't,
had a discussion.
I don't know that we would have had the discussion on the nursing home or the hospital if not for the mandate. I'm not opposed to the discussion. I'd rather it be a company decision rather than another entity forcing our hand, but
I mean, the fact that we had the entire kitchen out for 3 weeks, that's hard on then your staff at the nursing home. It puts the clientele at a greater risk of being exposed. I'm just throwing it out there that it would be nice if they were vaccinated. So are we having those conversations with staff but not making it mandatory? What are we doing?
well, we've encouraged vaccination the whole time with them. We do know that some of the ones, or a couple that work at the nursing home could go work for the homestead that are not choosing to be vaccinated. And so we feel like there's that option. I don't like mandates.
No, I don't either. I'm not disagreeing with that.
I'd like,
I just think we need to do the education and encourage, that they have the information.
well, and when I say an outbreak at the homestead, that's 3 people, and that knocks out of 15, and that just throws everything for a loop.
Kelly, do you have anything to report from the foundation?
We received word from the Community Foundation regarding our AHA scholarship that the amount available to award in the spring is going to be just under $2,000, and I've asked the board members to weigh in on how much of that they want to use for scholarships or put back into the funds. So that's really all that's going on with the foundation at this time.
Okay. We don't have a St. Anthony's report. City council report, Greg?
I apologize, I was ill during city council meeting, so I have nothing to report at this time.
All right. No big deal. We do not have in December, we don't have a regular monthly meeting. We do have a meeting next Monday. Is there a time schedule for the employees?
The Christmas party for employees and board members is December the 13th. Should be a Monday, 7 o'clock at the Bowl. Make sure that's correct. Yes, that is correct. Monday, December the 13th at 7 o'clock. You and your plus one are invited to come out to the Bowl, and we're having brisket and all the fixings.
Say 7? Do we need to let anybody know?
Yeah, if you'll let Rosemary know what your plans are, that way we can get a head count and have enough food for everybody.
Okay. We don't have any other items of new business at this time. Hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving, safe travels, enjoy your time with family.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if any of you see this puppy running around town,
Did yours get loose?
no, Tanner's coming.
Oh, okay.
They're on
That's a
vacation.
sweet baby.
And we're watching.
Oh, no, you are fired.
You see something he's got.
Rick needs to go.
Glad to have the grandbaby.